What's going on, everyone? So this is officially episode 2 of the podcast. As you might be able to tell, it looks a lot different than the last podcast or the first episode. Um, I realized I didn't have a name for the podcast, so I went with Eat, Sleep, Race, which obviously ties in the whole Eat, Sleep, DSM thing. I think that's pretty fitting, at least for now. Um, this episode is just after Bloomsburg. We went down there Thursday night. It was kind of a new thing to me because I've never really raced on a weekday ever, I don't think. Um, it caused some complications with work a little bit. Had to move some stuff around, had to get out early, and then Friday morning had to go back to work. So we didn't get home until at least midnight, and then by the time I got done watching my videos and the GoPro footage and stuff, it was pretty late. I think it was like 2 a.m. or something by the time I went to bed. So made it for pretty interesting next morning going to work, but pulled it off. Um, so the last episode uh, at from Pencan, I broke a bunch of stuff. Um, Not really a bunch of stuff, but I broke my right front shock mount and I broke my um, left rear shock mount. So I had to fix those. Um, And in the last episode, I talked a little bit about that. I think I had pictures on there of the mount, where it broke and everything. Um, so I got all that fixed up. One of the other changes that I made was I put stiffer front springs in the car. Um, it's a metric chassis, not a Sheffield chassis like most of the other cars out there, and they require a stiffer front spring rates. So um, I was always getting over too much on the right front and bottoming the shock out. So for Pencan, I put a stiffer a stiffer spring in the front, both sides, and it helped out a little bit, but it was still bottom out. So I went even stiffer before Bloomsburg, and finally I think I got it decent. But I do want to change my front spring rates again, at least the left front. I want to soften that a little bit. Right now I have an 850 in the right front, maybe an 800. I think it was 850 in the right front right now. So I want to bring the left front down a little bit. It'd be nice to run 850s straight up in the front. Um, Maybe I'll have to run an 800 in the left front. I don't know if I have a second 850-pound spring. But the reason why I want to do that is because my car was extremely tight entering. Everywhere else it was kind of almost loose, but entering was a big thing. I feel like I've always had a really tight car entering, and I was always trying to manipulate the car and throw it in or jack the brakes, and that makes complications for the rest of the corner. So if you can't get in, you can't get off it. You can't get in right, you're not going to get off right. Um, so this whole week, I'm going to focus on um, loosening the car up so that way when I get in the corner, I don't push up and I don't have to like force the car to turn. Um, so there's a couple ways I'm gonna do that. The front spring rate, or at least the left front, is the big one. But I also need to work on the rear weights because I think I know I have too much load on the right rear. I might have too much weight on the right rear, so I might move some to the left rear. Um, in a little bit, I'll show you the videos. You can see how tight I was. I had a lot of fun at Bloomsburg. It was a bucket list track of mine. This is the third year I think this track was open since they built it. Third year for IMCA's going. Finally, my first time going. So, um, I got the car done pretty early. We actually loaded up probably 2 days before race day, which never happens to me. Usually I'm scrounging around last minute trying to get the car done, trying to load the truck and the trailer and car and all that. But this week actually went pretty smooth. So we went down. It was about uh, ju- probably an hour, just over an hour drive probably, just taking our time. Um, we had to stop and get race fuel at Insinger Performance on the way and put fuel in a truck. Uh, so it was about probably hour 15 minutes or something. It wasn't a bad drive. So we get down there. I've never been down there at all. My girlfriend Michelle, she's been to the Bloomsburg Fair a couple times, so she was at least there at the fairgrounds, which is where the track is. So um, it's a pretty neat place to me. Um, just different. It's completely different kind of. I mean, it's a racetrack in the middle of a city, basically. So there's buildings everywhere. It just the backdrop was really weird. Like there's tracks or houses that are right next to the track where they all I gotta do is look out their upstairs bedroom window or climb out on their roof of their house and they could watch the racing. It's pretty cool. Um, but we went in there, we parked, unloaded. I had never seen the track, and you couldn't really see the track at all from when you pulled in. So um, I went up to like the ticket booth stuff and all that. And I noticed that the spectator gates were locked for the grandstand. So um, I asked, I didn't even know how to get to see the track, and I wanted to at least see the track before I went out. But they were nice enough to open up the gates, and they let me and Michelle go in, up into the grandstands, which I can show you right here. Um, so we walked up this little stairway here in the middle of the picture, and snapped this picture. It's pretty cool place. Definitely the nicest track by far I've ever raced on. It's extremely smooth. It had really nice red clay. Um, just it was a lot to take in for me personally, but we had a pretty decent night, I guess. I skipped hot laps. Not probably talked about this in my last video. It's to me, it's almost a waste of time. Um, Usually, anyway, at Bloomsburg, it probably would have been beneficial. Usually, the track is really wet, and you just slide around, and the car doesn't do anything that it's gonna do for the rest of the night, so you don't learn nothing. And I'm not the kind of person that can really afford to waste fuel. So at $15 a gallon, I chose to watch. So, but the track was actually really good in hot laps. So I watched the hot laps, and I was watching David Stremme, who we'll talk about him in a little bit. He's a former NASCAR driver. I was watching him, and you could tell he was trying to flat foot it around the whole track, and that blew my mind. Um, I know he runs a crate motor, but his car, you have to have your car has to be hooked up to do that at a track like that. There's not much banking. It's a 3/8 mile track, so it's not like a big super fast track. But there was a lot of grip in the track and obviously in his car. And one time entering turn three, he from what I could tell, it sounded like he pulled it off and he flat footed it around the whole turns three and four. So I noticed that, and when I headed into my heat race, I started third. I had that in the back of my head. Obviously, David Stremme is going to have the fastest car. He usually does. So in my head, I'm saying if I can flat foot it around this track, I'll be good. And so my first lap, um, it was I was pretty um, yeah, I was taking it easy for the most part because I'd never been on the track, and so the first lap I took it easy, and I should have stuck to it because from there on it was a shit show. So first lap was just cruising for the most part, letting off and into the corners and stuff, and just being just learning the track, and it was a good lap. And I started third, and I finished the first lap third, and then I went into turn one on lap two, and I threw it in. And in the videos, it looks really bad because like before I even get to the corner, I can tell like my car is gonna go way up the track. That because of how hard I was entering. Um, so I did that a few times, and finally I just started to kind of chill out a little bit, and kind of got in a rhythm a little bit. But the car was super tight, um, even when I was taking it easy. Um, but the track was fast, and it was awesome to me that you let off going into the corner, and then you just crack the throttle for a couple seconds, not even, and then you're back on the gas to the rest of the corner, and that was something that was new to me. I've never been on a track where you could do that. Usually you're off the throttle quite a bit in the corner until like, halfway into the corner. Then you can start feathering it a little bit. But this place, man, like I was cracking it, getting in the corner, letting the car set, and then I was on the gas the rest of the way around the corner unless I got tight. Coming off of turn four, I did like a four-wheel slide up the track, and then I let off. And as soon as I let off, whether it was entering or anywhere, as soon as I let off, it just shoved the whole nose just shoved right to the wall. So very, very tight race car, um, especially entering. I was just it was hard to try to manipulate it and force the car to turn, but I guess it could have been worse. But it was to me, it's pretty bad. So we do the heat race and made some changes to the car, not big ones, just stagger, and um, I had some spacers on the right, or not spacers. I changed my offset when I changed my right rear bead lock. Um, Nothing that was really going to help my tight condition entering. I didn't want to take too much time to mess with it. I'm always paranoid about missing the race, right? Like trying to do something in the car and then, oh my God, now they're calling us to the lineup and my car's still apart and I'm not in the car. So I didn't do too much. Just kind of hung out, checked everything over. Um, it was sprinkling a little bit, um, on and off. Not, it definitely wasn't raining. It was just sprinkling. You barely even noticed it. But then, um, they called us to the lineup. So we got in the cars, we got out on the track, and then it really started raining pretty good. We rode around for a little bit, and finally they told us to get off the track. And most of us got out of the cars, and my car was running like crap. I thought it was a carburetor problem, and then by the time I got to the pits, like it just wouldn't idle. Um, when I was on the throttle, like on the track, it was all right, but just trying to idle, it would not idle right. So I was freaking out, thinking I don't run an alternator like most some other guys do. I need to, um, but I don't yet, and I'm always freaking out about my battery not being full charge. I don't have a generator, so I don't have any way to charge my battery. So we got lucky though, and we didn't have anybody parking on the right side of the truck. So I pulled the car around next to the truck, and I literally used jumper cables to charge the race car battery in the race car while it was raining. And then I didn't fix it anyway. Then yesterday, I think I figured it out. I think it was my carburetor. It was the float was sticking. But anyway, they I was looking at the radar, and there was nothing. There was just a little tiny speck, and it just happened to be like all across the state there wasn't much really, but at all. But anywhere near us, there was just one little tiny speck. It just happened to be on the track, and we didn't know if they were going to call it or what. Obviously, I wanted to race. I'm sure all of us did. That's why we're there. But eventually, they came over to PA system and said that it was going to be postponed. From the sounds of what Jake Maynard was talking, they're thinking maybe in August. So that's another thing that sucks. Like Now I gotta wait all the way to August to go back there. But at least I can race there twice, kind of. I mean, I don't know. But it kind of sucked because I'm only doing a series races because I can't afford to go to a non-series race, and if I finish outside the top 10, I'm only gonna get like 60 bucks, and I can't do that. I pit passes, most of the tracks we go to now are 40 bucks a piece, and with me and Michelle, there's 80 bucks. I usually put at least $50 in fuel, and the racing fuel is depending on if you need 5 gallons, if I need 10 gallons, but that's a lot. So, um, like at Penn I took home $150 for 12th. So, that's obviously I'm still not breaking even. But if I get like a sixth place finish, seventh place finish, then I might on a normal week between fueling truck, fueling a car, and pit passes, I might actually make money. Uh, so I can't be going to these other tracks where it's not a series race. But going to a track and spending the money on race fuel, spending the money on the truck fuel, and spending the money on the pit passes, plus the IMCA registration fee, which is 20 bucks, and to not come home with any money at all because we didn't turn a single lap, we never took a green flag in the feature race. That sucked. Um, Luckily, a couple generous people there. Uh, we didn't. I, I don't want to get too wrapped up in that, but uh, we got help because people understand me and Michelle's situation. We shouldn't even be at the track because financially, like we're getting so far behind. So, some guys helped out with that, and bless their hearts, I almost cried. Like it was just a really nice thing for them to do. So anyway, uh, coming home wasn't bad because of that. Like that money is I take money that I'm not supposed to be using. I buy race fuel. I put gas in a truck. I pay for pit passes, and then the money that I get from racing replenishes that, so that way I can hopefully live, basically. Uh, so um, David Stremme though, that was pretty cool seeing him in person. I've never seen him in person. He looks exactly like he looks in pictures and on videos and stuff. But it was pretty surreal to me. If you don't know who David Stremme is, he's a former NASCAR driver. He had 200 NASCAR Cup Series starts between 2005 and 2014. His rookie season was in 2006, and that's when Denny Hamlin came in, Clint Bowyer, Martin Truex Jr., Reed Sorensen, J.J. Yeley. So it was pretty big year for the rookie class. He started out in the Cup Series driving a number 40 Coors Light Dodge, which used to be driven by Sterling Marlin. Some of you guys might know him. Um, and then in 2009, he went to the number 12 Penske car. He replaced Ryan Newman. Ryan Newman went to number 39 for Stuart Haas. So Stremme went to that for a little while. He almost won uh, the Amp Energy 500 in 2009. And he was running up front, and he ran out of fuel, I think. Uh, it was there was a late caution, and they had a green white checkered, so they were running, beyond the normal distance of 500 miles, and I'm pretty sure he ran out of gas. But um, he ran obviously Cup Series. He ran some Xfinity, which used to be I don't know if it was the Nationwide Series. I guess it'd be the Nationwide Series back when he was running. And he did some NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series races, did some ARCA races, and in 2014 he started Lethal Chassis, which is the chassis he races, the modifieds that he builds. He runs them and he builds them. Um, he's from I don't remember where he grew up, but he lived in Mooresville, North Carolina for the majority of his life, I'm assuming. But him and his wife Ashley in 2021, after 2 years of planning, they moved up to Juniata County, which where they moved to was Mifflintown. I guess that's where his wife Ashley's from, and they wanted to start a family and settle down and stuff and be close to her family, so they moved up there. Now, Mifflintown, I lived there for a couple years. I met a girl when I was 20, 19 or 20, and I moved down there with her, and it's literally walking distance to Port Royal, PA, which is where Port Royal Speedway is, and that's where he runs most. Well, I don't know. He runs all over the place, but that's where he lives, basically. Mifflintown, Port Royal area. He does a lot of modified stuff. Obviously, does IMCA stuff with us. But that was pretty cool to see him and to race him. He was in my heat race, so if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't have been able to race against him. But luckily, he was in my heat race, so I got to race with him, and he kicked our ass. We had to rent transponders. If he didn't have them, I didn't have them, so I had to rent a transponder. And I was looking at the lap times, and he was 2 seconds a lap faster than me, and pretty much a second faster than anybody else in my heat race. So he was hooked up, man. Like, which obviously, he's the guy to beat when he's at our races. So um, pretty cool stuff to see him. Um, he looks exactly like he did on TV, like he did, in pictures or whatever. So um, there, if we get to go back, hope we're thinking in August. There's nothing like that was officially announced yet, but so it'll be cool to go back again. That track, it was amazing. It was a bucket list thing. It was a huge life thing for me. Like, it was awesome. So we'll go back, run the feature. The good thing about just really, it's not a good thing. It is a good thing. I guess the good part of this, of not getting money, is I didn't burn race fuel in the race because I didn't do any feature laps. So I did my 8 laps in my heat race. I skipped hot laps, did my eight laps in my heat race, so I didn't use much fuel. So the next time I go to the track, which will be Friday, uh, June 16th at the Hill Speedway, um, I won't need to buy racing fuel. So just pit passes and fuel in the truck, and I'll actually profit money, uh, in a sense, on that week. I lost on this past week because I didn't get no money, but I'll make back up for it the next time I go out because I won't need any fuel. So that's one good thing. Um, but yeah, Friday we'll have the kids, and it'll be all their first time seeing me on the track this year, with the exception of Camber. She went to the hill my very first time out, which she didn't really see much, and it was a shit show for me. But at least she was there for that. So we got all the kids. We'll have Daytona, we'll have Camber, we'll have Ryland, we'll have Peyton, um, and it's a series race, so there's going to be a lot of cars. That's where the majority of all of us are from. Is from that's the majority of our home track is Dunhill, or the Hill. Sorry. Um, so we're looking forward to that. I need to loosen up the entry. I'm gonna try and move at least one weight ballast to the left rear. I got too much spring load. I have like 421 pounds of spring load on the right rear, and I want to get that down to at least 375. I think that is one of the biggest things that's making me so tight entering. I don't want to really take the weight off because I think the weight helps me with my forward drive. Um, but I definitely need to loosen up entry. So between that, just the spring chains in the front, and just the spring load is the big thing. Hopefully that loosens me up enough to be pretty decent, at least for the next time I go out. And we just keep making changes, keep plugging away, and little by little, I think we're finally. I mean, Bloomsburg is um, almost misleading in a way because how smooth it is. Like my spring chains I made worked amazing because the shock barely moved at all. Um, but that track was smooth as glass. So that's probably the only track on our schedule that's gonna be like that. Every other track where you're bouncing around and stuff, that's where you're gonna start bottoming out shocks. So um, I can show you the videos from uh, the track, but here's some stuff about David Stremme that I forgot to show you while I was talking about him. Uh, that's the 40 car that he ran for Ganassi. This is his lethal racing shop. He ran a bunch of cars. He ran a 30 car part time, I think, throughout his career. He was in a few different cars, but he you know, I watched him on TV for a long time. I knew who he was, like it's pretty cool racing against him. Um, it's just him and his wife and one of his friends that go to the tracks. Like they're pretty humble people. Um, so that was really badass to see him. Um, so for the heat race, started third. Remember, I first lap was pretty good. I looked pretty like when I was in the car, I was like, wow, like I'm still third. Like I couldn't believe it, and I think that gave me a lot of you know motivation and just pumped me up way too fucking much, and I just started throwing it in, and combined with the fact that David Jemmy was flat-footing it, I said, what the hell, I'm gonna try too. So um, here's the race that Michelle recorded. She had a long run to run all the way up here to the grandstands from where we parked in the pits. It was quite a long jog, so kudos to her. So right here I'm fourth. Brad Seitz has an issue there. He gets tight. I noticed a lot of people got tight. I think right here, Bobby Maynard, the guy in front of me, gets tight. Yep. Nobody got nearly as tight as me, or they just did a better job faking it. I don't know, but this is where I overdrive the corner. And right here, I'm okay. I didn't really even lose a spot yet. Racing for third, and all I gotta do is calm down, but I don't. And right here is where I started doing the four-wheel drift thing. And I backed out of it, let off the throttle. As soon as I did that, it just shoved the nose hard to the right. I thought I was gonna hit the wall. Um, and then same thing there, just it would not turn. And then from here on out was a little bit better. Um, maintain my position right there was really tight. I couldn't really figure out what to do, but it seemed like slowing the car down helped, so I just did that. Just slowed the car down, and I did notice I had a lot of forward drive for once coming off the corners. And all the way down the straightaways, which in my last video, that's what I talked about. That's my biggest problem. So, at least here, I'm gonna have a lot more traction here than I had anywhere else. So, but some of these guys at the beginning of the race, you could tell like I just pulled on them down the straightaways. But I have an open motor. They have a crate motor, so I have more power. This track has traction. So maybe next week or Friday when I go to Dunhill, I won't have any forward drive at all because there's no traction. So we'll see how it works out, I guess. But I think the spring change helped big time with that. The front springs probably gave me more drive. I made a lot of other changes too in the back. So Bobby Maynard brakes or something so that we get a caution. I was really disappointed with the beginning of this race because I hate looking like I'm an idiot out there, but I overdrive the shit out of that thing, and it was just so tight. I think in the feature, obviously, it would have loosened up a lot. I don't know if it would have helped my entry or not. Right there, I overshot it again. Last lap, I was just getting too aggressive. So, finished sixth. Now, the next video is I had my GoPro again. Trying to turn the volume up a little bit. Hopefully it's not too loud. I know in my last video you couldn't hear me talking at all hardly when I was watching these videos, so hopefully I made the right adjustments on this stuff. So that way you can at least hear me. So first lap, good. Right behind Bobby, third place. I can still see Stremme anyway. Look how far ahead he is. One lap though, but yeah, this overdrove it. That still didn't really hurt me that much, but right off of turn 2 here killed me, and then going, or turn 4 here, and then going into 1 and 2 again, I got really tight. Then this is where they all passed me, but man, I can't. I was really pissed off about the rain because I wanted to give it another shot and not screw up because honestly, like if I fix it to entry, I think I might have been all right. I might have been able to run up at least in the top 10, but 8th, 7th, I don't know. We'll see. The feature us will start 11th, so when we go back, I'm assuming we'll hot lap and then go right to the feature, and I'll start 11th. It should be the same exact lineup unless certain people don't show up, but I'm really impressed with the video quality in this GoPro 10. I love it. We moved it up too. Remember the last video I said, you know, it was kind of mounted low and you couldn't really see a whole lot. This was a lot better. I don't think we can really move it up any further than this on my helmet. But there I got really loose off of 2. I was just trying to give it too much throttle because I'm trying to deal with the tight issue, and the more throttle you give it, the more rear steer and everything, and I gave it too much throttle there, I think. You can hear how much I'm on the throttle in the corners. Like it's it was a new thing for me. One of the many new things for me going down there. It was completely different type of track. Like same shape as some of the tracks, but because of the amount of grip you have, you can drive it and attack it more aggressively and be on the throttle a lot. So in this video, it goes on a little bit. I'll let it play out because you can see there's a couple different things here that is not typical of dirt racing up here. Is to get off the track, you do your cool down lap, you come back to start finish line, and you can see the cars turn in the infield, and then you go straight across the infield and off the track, and then the video takes us all the way to my trailer, and you can see the backdrop, and you might even be able to see the houses and buildings and stuff. It was surreal to me. They had, I don't know if they're sportsman modifieds or crate modifieds or what they were, but they were there too. So you see the houses there on the left. That's a street. Outside that gate, or outside that fence, that's a street, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it was a street. So the reason why they postponed it was, normally we just wait. It don't take that long. It takes like 30 minutes, 45 minutes to dry a dirt track down. We didn't get that much rain. Um, but with it being in the middle of a city there, they have a noise ordinance, and they can't race after 10 o'clock. And by the time we got off the track in the feature, it was already about 9 o'clock. But yeah, it was fun. I'm so impressed with this GoPro footage. I should have done this a long time ago, because that is awesome to get that perspective, to capture it and show people. To me, it's awesome. Another thing that I did before I went out to the feature was my brake bias. I had my brake bias turned uh not heavily in front, but I cranked more rear brake bias into it, and I think that would have helped me out a lot too with my entry. So while I was super disappointed with not being able to run a feature, I had a great time. Checked a lot of things off my bucket list, um, and I can't wait to go back. It sucks we gotta wait till August, but come August, I'm gonna have another really badass day going back down to Bloomsburg. So at least I have another opportunity to race at Bloomsburg a separate day. So, um, but like I said, the next race for us is gonna be Friday, June 16th, at the Hill Speedway. It's a New York Penn Series race. So it'll be a good turnout. Should have a bunch of cars. I think we had 16 at Bloomsburg, which should have been the highest car count we've had all. Well, I think there were 16 at Afton as well. I wasn't there for that, but there were 16 cars there for that one. Um, so hopefully we can get about the same at Dunhill, and the kids will be there, so it'll be a really nice night. So hopefully the changes I make this week will drastically help out, and we can start having some decent finishes. I mean, the only race I did was Penn and I didn't finish, so it'd be nice to at least finish a race. The car looks good. Uh, I almost didn't want to wash it because all the red clay on the car. Uh, but while I was at work Friday, it rained and the car was still loaded on the trailer sitting outside, so it made it look like crap. So before I unloaded it Friday, I went down to the car wash and really cleaned it really nice. So that's done and out of the way. But had a fun weekend. Um, Man, I love this stuff. It's addicting, really addicting. But I guess that's where I'm gonna end this video here. Um, I'm sure I'll do another video after Dunhill, so maybe Saturday or so, maybe Sunday. We'll have the kids, so might not have as much time next weekend. But hopefully you stay tuned in, and hopefully you guys like this. If comment if you do. You know, this kind of stuff is all new to me. I can't wait to watch this back because uh, this stuff looks awesome compared to my last video. Had to learn a lot of stuff. I use OBS. It's like a streaming software to do all this stuff. It's pretty cool. Learn a lot of nice little tricks. Um, it looks good from staring at it right now, so I'll check it out once I get it uploaded. But thanks for watching, guys, and like I said, hopefully next weekend sometime I should have episode 3. Thanks, guys. Later.